What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. So today, as the title suggests, I'm going to talk about addiction and how I found that so many people are addicted to video games and probably don't even realize it. So first off, I'm not going to give a clinical definition of addiction. There's plenty more sophisticated definitions out there, but a very simplistic one would be an addiction is something that over the course of 3 weeks, if you decided today, like, I'm not going to do it anymore, and you can't physically make it to 3 weeks without doing that thing. So that could be a general example is a lot of smokers without the use of nicotine patches or anything like that would struggle to not smoke for 3 weeks. If the temptation was in front of them, they would not be able to physically resist doing it because either the dopamine or other chemical in it is too difficult to ignore. So for me, that addiction has always been video games, and I always sort of refused to believe it because in my mind it was always like, okay, no, this is just fun. It's easy to do. I've got friends who play as well, so it's not really an addiction. But when I really sat down and asked myself at the beginning of the year if I was, um, I struggled to, even when I had other things to do, I struggled to put the games down and not touch them for a week. And that's when I sort of realized that, yeah, I'm probably addicted, and that I needed to do something about it. So um, if you're not able to stop playing video games for 3 weeks of your own choice, not because somebody else told you, but imagine if just today, for example, you decide, okay, I'm not going to touch it for 3 weeks. If you genuinely can't do that, like there's something in your brain that's just going in and turning it on, then you are addicted to it. And the first step of overcoming an addiction is to realize that you have it in the first place. And there's plenty of people who will say, oh, I only play for 1 hour, or I only play with my friends. It doesn't matter. If you can't stop yourself for that short, and I'm talking short in the span of your entire life, short period of time, if you can't stop yourself, then you've got bigger issues to worry about than just, oh, but it's only for an hour, because clearly you don't have that self-control, that discipline. So the first step to overcoming that is to realize that you have that addiction. And the second step is to start minimizing your exposure to that as much as possible. So I don't mean like throw out your console and delete all your games. What I'm talking about is more when you are conscious of it, reduce the amount of time that you're doing it. So if you can't stop yourself from playing once every 3 days, then reduce that down to, 1 day out of those 3. And then what you want to do is you want to keep raising that gap between the times that you play. So for me, it started off with, okay, I'm only going to play on like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that way I had a gap from Sunday through to the Friday that I wasn't touching it, that I was doing something else. And then from there, I was then able to go, okay, well, I really don't, either I don't have time or I don't want to play them on Friday, so I'm going to cut that day out and just Saturday and Sunday. And then eventually you'll be able to cut all the days out of the week and see how you go for 3 weeks. And you may stumble, and that's fine. That's fine. Once you actively realize what you've done, if you can, stop. But if not, then once you're done playing, then restart that 3 week time. And eventually, eventually, if you keep reducing it and are actively wanting to stop, you will eventually make that 3 weeks. And hopefully, by then, it should be easy to continue that onwards. So once you're able to do that, it's quite easy to just stop when you want to and to pick it up again when you want to. You've got to be careful that you don't become re-addicted, obviously, but if you're able to go those 3 weeks without doing it, you have a much healthier relationship with that addiction. And the people who say that it's okay to play video games, like I only play it 1 day a week or I only play it with my friends, you've got to question yourself if they're telling the truth, but two, even if they are, they may have a much healthier relationship with that than you do. For me, I personally don't enjoy smoking, and the only times I've ever done it have been in a social setting, and even then it wasn't really because I wanted to, it's because I wanted to be part of the group. Because back then I wasn't able to stand on my own 2 feet and be my own person, so I'm trying to fit in. But because of that, I've never had an issue with smoking. So for me to tell someone how to stop smoking doesn't make sense. But I have been addicted to video games, and I have moved past that because I was able to concentrate and stop myself from sitting in front of the computer for 3 to 4 hours a night, every single night. So, and to follow on from the title, both Hamza and First Man have both they're two YouTubers who brought this attention to the addiction of video games to the forefront, and there's still a lot of pushback against them that playing video games is fine, if you do X, Y, Z. But the problem is that most people who need to be told to stop playing video games need to stop completely. I did. If I just listened to those other people, I'd probably still be playing for 6 hours a night, 2-3 nights a week. Sure, it'd be down from 7 days, but it's still nowhere near what I could be at. I'd still be playing Call of Duty and World of Warcraft constantly all the time. And I wouldn't have time to do my uni work. I wouldn't have time to go to the gym. I wouldn't have time to record these videos. So if you're watching this video and you play video games, I strongly, strongly encourage you to try and just not touch them for 3 weeks, because whatever it is, whatever fear of missing out you have, the game's still going to be there in 3 weeks' time. And your friends are still going to be there in 3 weeks' time. If they're not there, if your friendship is so dependent on the video game, then you're going to lose that friendship eventually anyways. One of you is going to move on to another game and you're going to stop talking. But if it's a true friendship, those friendships that you've developed online or in person and play games online with will still be there in 3 weeks. But you've got to be able to control yourself and have the discipline in yourself. And that's the number one thing that you will need for future self-improvement, is that discipline. Because if you can't follow through on what you want to do, then you're not going to get anywhere. So anyways, if you've made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate it. Please drop down and subscribe. It'll be able to help me on my journey, and my tips and tricks and my community here will be able to help you as well. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.